Hey everyone, Mary here from Energizing Reiki and Soul Healing. So I wanted to document here in a recording some information for clients who have booked a session, and it's a video that I can send to them that answers a lot of questions, explains the session beforehand, so I don't have to explain it and take time away from the session. But then obviously this is for anybody who's curious about the kinds of sessions that we do and some just general hopeful information. Might be entertaining for you. So I am trained in what's called soul level animal communication. That is all about the soul lessons that our animals are working on with us. Our souls and the animals' souls negotiated this relationship that we are in, or that we were in if your animal is past. There's negotiated the time for when that animal came into your life, started working on lessons with you. And then, of course, they depart when they depart. They know everything about us from the day we were born. They know all of our experiences and everything that we have gone through, whether it be good or bad, from the minute we were born. And that often too shows up in the sessions, and the humans are blown away that, oh my God, that happened 30 years ago. How can my cat know that about me? Well, that's why. That said, when we're doing a session, I don't want to know anything about your animal except the name, the gender, the type or species of animal, and then if they are alive or in spirit. So I don't need to know anything else. I don't want to know behaviors. I don't want to know symptoms. I don't want to know any relationship changes, whether it's your relationship with the animal or a relationship between that animal and another one that suddenly changed. Nope, not at the beginning of the session, because I need to be as completely objective as possible. And if I know too much information, then that human ego comes into play. And when I start to get information, it mixes in, and then I'm not sure what I'm getting from me or from the animal. So less is more. So I appreciate that. So first, I call the animal in a session. First of all, I should say everybody gets an email with some information and the Zoom link. So when we start the session, it's all remote. I call the animal into my energetic space, and I ask them to share something about themselves. And so this is how they see themselves. This is how they describe their personality. Most of the time, their human is laughing, going, oh my God, that's spot on. Sometimes it's a little off, and the human's going, yeah, okay, I don't see that at all. And you have to think, well, that's how they see themselves, the animal, or it could be metaphorical as well. That's always interesting as far as just a way to look at how they give information. And the next step is to have the animal share something about you, the human. And very rarely do they throw their human under the bus, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's fascinating from the human side of things when they realize that, oh my gosh, they just mentioned something that happened 30 years ago. How can my animal know about this? Well, it's because they've known everything that you've been going on since you were born. They know this. This is why they're here working on certain things. So after that, we get into the human's questions. Usually time for one or two questions where the animal's not peeing in the litter box, right? The cat's not peeing in the litter box, or the two dogs this human's had for 5 years have been getting along for great, except the last week they're not. What's going on? So we try to formulate open-ended questions because the animal has to take into account several different things. They take into account how I receive information, which is mainly visual, and I get some knowings and some feelings, but it's mainly visual. So of course I'm relaying all the information that I get to the animal or to the human and answering their questions, but they also have to take into account how I'm going to relay that information that I receive, and is their human going to understand it? So there's a lot that they have to coordinate, and I've learned that sometimes they actually coordinate the booking of the appointment, which I find absolutely fascinating. So you get 1 to 2 questions, again, based on time. These are 30-minute sessions that we do. And then we get to the soul level, right, where we ask the animal, what soul lesson or lessons are you currently working on with your human? And then we get into the juicy stuff. This is the stuff that you don't remember about your pre-incarnation meeting with your animal. And it starts to all make sense. There's sometimes a theme with the answers that start from how they present themselves, how they see you, and it works up through the soul lesson. So there's a common theme or common thread that runs through. Occasionally, the human may not agree, or they're just trying to think of something that's going, yeah, it doesn't really resonate with me. And so I'll ask, how old the animal is. Let's say it's 12 years old. Okay, well, then I put the human with the task of going back 12 years to remember where they were emotionally, mentally. And right then they're going, oh my God, I was a hot mess. This is this and this and this. And the animal comes into my life then. And so then once they go back and they go, oh yeah, well, from the time I was been with my animal, yeah, I can totally see the whole linear timeline of change and healing. And it's quite the awakening, quite the realization. So that is the end of a session. And just some other interesting items of note that I've discovered that I absolutely love that I'll share is that animals will have different life lessons that they're working on with different members of the family. So let's just say mom, dad, daughter, son, okay? And you've got a cat and a dog. Easy math. So the wife is the one booking the session. We're having the communication session. We've got the life lessons. It all makes sense. It's great. Okay, so that dog, let's just say, has soul lesson with her husband, different lessons with her son, different lessons with her daughter, and different lessons with the cat. So the animal has a lot of lessons that's going on, a lot of coordination. They are, as we know, so much wiser than us anyway, but to coordinate all this, I just find it absolutely fascinating. So if you think about, I don't know if you've had this in your household or if you've heard of this type of situation where an animal, like let's just say a dog, will only chew dad's slippers or shoes. Nobody else's, just dad's. That's going to be the behavior, one of the behaviors probably, that is dealing with that soul relationship that animal has with the dad. Nobody else, just the dad. So let's use an anxious teenage daughter. So you've got a cat in the family, and when everybody's around, everybody's together, everybody's home, or when somebody else is in the room with the daughter and the cat's fine. Cat's calm, cat's well behaved. When alone with the cat is alone with the teenage daughter. Psycho kitty. Just psycho kitty. Again, lessons between that cat and that daughter are going to be different from the cat and the mom and dad or brother. And so the behaviors are going to change. Two big common ways that animals communicate with us or try to help us. We have mirroring, which is where they're mirroring our behavior. Like you have an anxious human, you have an anxious cat. The cat is saying, I'm anxious because you're anxious, and I'm hoping that you'll flip the cards and realize that if I'm anxious, maybe I can work on my anxiety, and then my cat will start behaving, blah, blah, blah. Usually that is what does the trick. Modeling is the opposite, right? Where you have an anxious human, and then you've got a very confident cat, right? And they're confident, they're strutting, they can't be bothered with the little stuff, because they're showing the human, look, this is how we need to be. You've got this. I'm showing you every day, every minute, how you can do it. Just be like me. Just do it. So they try. So I think that's all fascinating. The other thing too that I'll share is that even when an animal passes, they are still working with us on our life lessons, albeit in a different manner. And sometimes they're even training in spirit the next animal that's going to come into our lives to pick up where they left off. Isn't that amazing? It's fascinating. So anyway, those are my animal communication sessions. You can book them online, informational purposes. If you don't believe it, if you don't want anything, whatever, it's all good. As always, likes, comments, subscribes, greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.